recording is in progress, and I am here today with Sully. Everybody knows him as Sully. I don't think he was born as Sully. It's probably more like the Sean Sullivan. But if you get to know him for, I'd say anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes, you would understand how come people give him a nickname. And he exudes like such positivity. It's amazing when you're around him. Like I'm normally hyped. People who know me know that. But when you're around other people that like kind of share that same kind of like yes feeling, then you can't help but like just want to give him a big hug. So I'm going to, before I start ranting, I'm going to talk about things that OCB wise Sully is doing because he has more shows coming up, right?
I do.
All right. So I don't want to bypass that. We'll start right off with those. What's your next show? Give me some dates.
The next one I'm promoting is the Hall of Fame. It's going to be in July in Springfield. And this the Hall of Fame is a pro-am, so I will have the pro women's pro women's bikini, pro women's figure, and pro women's physique, and also all the amateur divisions, and to include our new wellness division. So I'm really looking forward to that. Debut, novice, open, and the master's classes. But every year at the Hall of Fame, we also induct somebody into the OCB Hall of Fame. And the show was started by Frank Formisella, and I was I was actually inducted one year. So the show was kind of near and dear to my heart, not for that reason, but because of the intent. And the intent is to recognize people who have had a history in the sport and have done things that have gone a little bit beyond. And this year we have Will Powell, who is another Yorton Cup champion. He is a OCB promoter, is a coach, just an all-around, if you look up really awesome human being in the dictionary, there's a picture of Will right there. So he's going to be our inductee. So we'll have an indoctrination ceremony right there on stage. Gives me an opportunity to say really great things about really great people. Yeah. So that show is kind of near and dear to my heart. And then in November, I have the Battle of the Gods, my baby there. That is also a pro-am event. It is the Masters Pro. So we'll have the Masters Physique, Classic Physique, and Bodybuilding, and all the open divisions again. And that show is just a really fun show for us to promote. It takes its lineage back into the whole Greek god theme, and that's how the stage is all set up in that Greek mythology. All the awards are based on centaurs and stuff like that. So It's a really fun show to promote. So we try to put some personality into our events.
I see that. So is this all these mythical things? Is that why your podcast has its name? How does that tie into that?
The Zen of Bodybuilding actually came from an article I read as a child by Frank Zane. It came out in Muscle Builder magazine about 1980. And Frank Zane was one of my favorite bodybuilders. He was the first bodybuilder I ever saw in a contest. He's the first bodybuilder I ever saw win a contest in 1979. Wow. Just a really great symmetrically developed physique. Had the opportunity to talk to him, just a very down-to-earth, really well-connected human being. And when I read the article, it talked about how bodybuilding was such a Zen experience for him, about how it interconnected all the different pillars of resilience that he had, which was your pillars of resilience are your spiritual, your mental, your emotional, and your physical. And then I also like to throw family in there as well. But that was it, and how it tied everything together for him. And it was a grounding, balancing experience, and not the ego-driven competition experience. That's part of the sport. It's part of the culture. And you can get carried away with the ego aspect of it, how you look. But he used it as a way to always keep himself in check and to always seek self-improvement, not just improving the biceps or the triceps or the abdominals, but to improve himself as a person, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. And I went, wow, this is connected. This sport of bodybuilding is connecting with me even more. Yes. And I just stayed with it. And that is what I find to be the most important aspects of the sport. Not how you look on stage, because it's fleeting. It's who you are. And that's why I always characterize the greatest bodybuilders are the bodybuilders that I meet in their defeat, not in their victory. Meaning,
Okay.
I have, after competing in 150, 160 shows, I've seen so many bodybuilders win shows. But I've seen 1,000 times that lose events.
Right.
So don't show me who you are as a person when you win. Show me who you are as a person when you don't win and what you do after that. How you treat
Okay.
others, how you treat yourself, and how you rebound from that experience. And that's
Wow.
how I judge my characters. I've never sought out to make friends with the champion of a show because they've won. I don't know who you are as a person, but I've always reached out to those people who didn't do as well, but took away a very positive experience and used that to motivate themselves for further change. Those are the people I want to connect with, because that's real. That's people. That's what we need more of in the world. More people that can see, see themselves for what they really are, the good and the bad, and then try to improve upon that. And that's why I like the Zen of bodybuilding.
Well, staying with the Zen of bodybuilding, when is this podcast? Where can we find it? Please tell people.
Okay, it is on
Besides
Spotify.
on our webpage.
It's on Spotify and it is on iTunes. And it's also carried on other web housing, different web housing places. But I think 95% of the people use either Spotify or iTunes. It's on both. Just Google Zen of Bodybuilding. Just go in there and look for the Zen of Bodybuilding. We're 3 episodes in. I release the episodes on the 1st and the 15th of every month. And the episodes are kind of set up. I talk a little bit about the OCB, but it's not an OCB podcast. I talk a little bit about it because people always see me and they know I'm involved in running the organization and part of the ownership group. So they know that. And so they automatically ask me OCB questions. So I try to get something OCB organizationally thrown out there at the beginning to answer questions that people have. Then I'll go into an interview with somebody within the sport. I cover a little bit of the history of bodybuilding because I really love history. And it's important for us to know where we came from and where our roots are. And the history, our history in the sport, or the history of bodybuilding, it goes back a lot further than the 1800s. It goes all the way back into 600 BC and beyond.
Yeah,
We talk a little
wow.
about that, a little bit of questions and answers stuff, and that's it. I try to wrap an episode up in 35 to 45 minutes. I think is good. Is a good cut line for an episode, and we try to drop 2 a month. That's the goal.
Okay. And I know you also have a podcast for the military side of your life.
I do. I do. That one is not, it's not specifically my podcast. I am the co-host of it. It came about from an idea. I was talking to our public affairs at the 102nd Intelligence Wing, where I was at the time. I've now moved into a different position. And we have a great public affairs team. I mean, some of the products they put out, National Guard and Air Force wide, are award-winning. And I just had a conversation one day with Tim Sandlin, who is our civilian director of public affairs over there, and Francesca Scridulis, who's an airman who is my co-host on it. Like, hey, have you guys ever thought about doing a podcast where we, you interview like a really senior person and you interview at the same time a really junior person, and you ask them questions and you get the perspective from both ends of the conversation. And that way, junior people in an organization will understand how, the senior non-commissioned officers think, and vice versa, and just kind of bridge that understanding. And Tim Sandlin, typical Tim Sandlin fashion, sounds great, Sully. And why don't you and Francesca plan on the next episode? And that's where it came from. It's called Chevrons, a podcast for the enlisted force. It has a really good listenership. It's not so much a 102nd Intelligence Wing product anymore. It's morphed into kind of a National Guard product because I interview people all over. We also interview people from other services, and I have some great interviews coming up with some Congressional Medal of Honor winners and some people that have served with distinction in the military and then have gone on to do stellar things outside of the military, all enlisted. That's the caveat. They have to be enlisted.
Okay.
Not officers. I have served as both an officer and then when I was in the Army, and now I'm back being enlisted. So nothing against people in the officer corps that are listening. I have a great appreciation. I was there, but I try to target the enlisted corps. And we have some people coming on who have gone on to do great things in both politics and in government, different things like that, talking about the lessons that they learned through being an enlisted member and how they translated into what they did afterwards, whether starting a company from scratch and now having, you know, a great company, or another individual we got coming up to talk to started a company called Operation Zero, Justin Miller. He was a soldier, and he had a bad night one night where he became almost suicidal and called the VA and didn't get the answers that he wanted. And he said, you know, we need to have an organization that, you know, a veteran to veteran outreach when people are on the verge and they're feeling, you know, off, that they have that immediate response. And he started Operation Zero Oz. And there's an app for that, and that's how it works. And it's just a really great organization. But those are things that we talk about and the people we talk to, people who have served or are serving in the Air Force or in any branch of the military service, and have and the lessons that they're learning to be better leaders and to develop others and to be better mentors and wingmen and to be more resilient. That's what we talk about. And we've had a lot of non-military listeners reach out to us and compliments. I learned something. I learned how to be a better boss, or I learned how to be a better employee. I learned how to be a better listener. I learned how to be more resilient because of what you were doing in the Air Force and with that podcast. So if anybody out there wants to give it a listen, it's really fun. And my co-host is awesome. And the people we interview are just fantastic. It's so I know what it's like to be in your seat. It can be fun.
You wear many different hats. I bow to you, sir. You wear so many hats. It's like, okay, speaking of hats, because you did mention the podcast, or we did just talk about it, I want to take a moment and thank you for your service. My dad was in military. My brother was in military. I got, you know, cousins and aunts and uncles, and we're, you know, there's a lot of different types of stripes, but we all mesh together in the family. So, you know, I grew up with the sir, yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, the whole nine. But I'm still a brat. No. But you're sitting there in a barracks, taking the time to talk to me, which is like, oh my gosh. I want you to be safe and I want you to be careful. I know that you probably always are, as much as you can be. I know that we're going through like just crazy times right now. I personally didn't think that we would get back to where we were having this kind of warring going on again. And, you know, I am a civilian, so maybe I'm a little naive, but I thought we had evolved just a little bit, and as a people, and, you know, we weren't falling back into this craziness of just crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
What I can say is that the men and women of this country who served in the armed forces are in this generation among the best in that I have ever seen. I started my military journey in 1983 in the Marines. And as I mentioned, you know, spent time in the Army as well. And I have to say, from our youngest airman and soldier and Marine and sailor, we also have we have our Space Force and our Coast Guard. We combine to be the United States Armed Forces. But I have to say that I walk away from every conversation I have, whether it is with a brand new 18-year-old Airman Basic, or it is with a 59-year-old Major General. I walk away from every conversation just so thoroughly impressed with what we put forth as our product in the military, the professionalism, the way that we've empowered our military people to make decisions at the lowest level, to just be the best, and they are the best. It's such a privilege to have my current position and to serve them, because when you reach the top of the hierarchy, it quit being about you a long time ago, and it is 100% about them. And the people I work for. They are my mojo, they are my life, and it's just incredible. It's like every day I come to work, it is like being backstage at the greatest bodybuilding event in the world, where everything is just clicking and everybody's getting along. And it's just that, that intoxicating environment that a show can have when it's just clicking. Every day I come to work, that's what I have. So I'm the luckiest man in the world. I'll miss it when it's gone, but I am building my bench, and I will have a whole slew of younger, smarter, better looking people that are going to take over for me as soon as I pass the torch, and more power to them. We are in good hands in this country. But yes, it is a scary time, but we are in great hands. And as leadership, all the moms and dads that are out there listening that, you have children serving, we will take care of them because we care about them. Leadership from the top down, from Chief of Staff of the Air Force all the way down, we care about them. They're our greatest commodity, and we love them and care about them as if they're our own. So we will take care of them.
That's just amazing that you would say that. I know that people are just at their unease. They're what do you say at this point? You're just, for me, I was just like, I can't. But to lighten the mood, to move on a little bit, like I said, I am listening to your podcast. If you would share a little bit about your, I guess, jump or leap into bodybuilding, what made you want to do this sport, this great, because most people, even today, they're still like, you do what? Why do you do that? Like, you're starving yourself. Why?
It's funny. I bypassed that question so often. Yeah. And it was such a personal thing to me that not a lot of people knew about it. I did release a training manual years and years and years ago, called The Peak Physique. And I wrote a little bit, maybe a paragraph and a half about it in there, but I kind of kept it as an interpersonal journey. And then my wife, Susan, was so impressed by that story and felt that it would resonate and help so many other people that about 5 or 6 years ago, she started urging me to just tell people tell the story, tell what happened. And I covered it in the podcast, but here it is again. And I share now because I think that there are people out there who would identify from it. But I'm going to begin by saying I loved my mom. She's passed away, but I loved her very much. She was the greatest person in the world. She was a captain in the Air Force at one point. She was a nurse for the Apollo astronaut program. She was just a wonderful person, but she had a demon. She was an alcoholic. And I grew up without a father. And there were times in our life where we were doing okay. And there's times in our life that we were homeless. And one of those occasions, we were homeless at the time. We were living in a van in an alley in Fifth Avenue in Columbus, Ohio. And I had gotten into a situation at school. I had a couple learning disabilities that were undiagnosed that I have conquered through sheer force of will. So you can conquer dyslexia, you can conquer perception problems and other learning disabilities. You can. They are not a death sentences, and you can be extremely successful in life. Many people are. But it was just a bad road. And I had been thrown out of school. Suspended. I was on a long-term 10-day suspension and wandering the streets of Columbus. And I happened to go by a health food store, and there was a bodybuilding seminar going on. And I was a real comic book junkie. Batman was my favorite, probably because it was so broody and, moody, but he was just big jacked guy, and I'm looking at, and it was Frank Zane was one of them. And they're doing this seminar, and I'm looking at these physiques, and I go in, and to make a long story short, Arnold Schwarzenegger was there. And they're doing the questions and answers after, but you could tell that all these people are talking, and they're the ones with their shirt off. But the guy who was really in charge of this entire enterprise was the guy who you could tell even in clothes was jacked, but in a button-up shirt that's standing there with this other guy named Jim. You could tell that they were running this whole thing. And everybody, when it was question answers time, was going to that guy to answer questions, not the guys with their shirts off. And I ended up talking to him briefly, and I think he realized my situation, and he ended up giving me a couple of tickets to the Mr. Olympia. And the funny thing is, and this is what I always like to talk about, these chance moments, these chance encounters, these once in a lifetime opportunities that we as human beings can do to turn around and make a total difference in somebody's life. I can guarantee that if you talk to Arnold Schwarzenegger about it right now, he would have little or no recollection, because I was probably one of 1,000 people that he did that to, because at the time bodybuilding wasn't popular. Let's face it, why did I get tickets? Bodybuilding wasn't popular. He's trying to fill the stadium, and he happened to have like 10 tickets there, and there weren't enough people left in there to hand them out to, so I got 2. That's the real reason. But to a 13-year-old kid who is undergoing, you know, all that stress in life and doesn't have a direction, that one act of kindness, I ran home to the van, woke my mom up. She sobered up for about 2 seconds and went, "Oh my God, my son is finally into something. We're going to go." 2 nights later, we're at the Mr. Olympia contest, and I'm watching Frank Zane win Mr. Olympia, and I was hooked with this sport ever since then. And it was kind of a life-changing experience for me. And I found that, and I realized along my journey, you know, I started digesting everything there was about bodybuilding. You know, I know we'll talk about, you know, picturing in your mind that your biceps are like a mountain, and that's how he made his biceps. And I remember, well, that's really cool, I'm going to do that too. And then I'd start picturing in my mind getting an A in school. I had never seen I didn't know the alphabet went past D. All right, because that's where my grade level was. I'm like, I'm going to picture A's, and I got an A. And then I started picturing other things in life, and they started
manifesting stuff. Okay.
It is true manifest destiny. And I realized that if you can change your mind, then you can change your world, and we can change the world one person at a time. But that's kind of my story. That's why I always encourage people, those little random acts. Another personal one, and I'm going to share this. This is not about me story. It's kind of about me, but it's not an about me story. It's not like a like me thing. I just want to say this out. People listening, little things like this can happen. So I have this thing I do. I go in and I get a cup of coffee. And whenever I'm in uniform, they give me a free cup of coffee. And I do the same thing all the time, whether it was back in my police uniform, my military uniform. I buy a coffee and I say, the next person through, you know, tell them that a stranger bought him a cup of coffee and have a nice day. All right. So I do this all the time. Now, I'm listening to one of my favorite talk radio stations, you know, the guests are calling or whatever, and somebody was calling in, they were talking about sports, and then they were talking about something else, and one of the athletes was having a really bad day, and this guy goes, "Hey, I live on the Cape," and I was in Falmouth one time, and it was the worst day of my life. I was contemplating doing something dreadful, and I wanted to get my last cup of coffee, and it was free because a stranger bought me a cup of coffee. And it totally changed my mind. And that's why I'm so behind, you know, suicide prevention. So, and I'm driving along and I'm going, I wonder if it was me. I'm in Falmouth all the time. I've been doing this forever. I wonder if it was me. It might not have been. It could have been another stranger, but I just thought about it and I went, well, there's the full circle. That's how a chance encounter with Arnold or doing kind act for a stranger, you never know how it's going to resonate or change.
Exactly.
So, I consider myself I guess a warrior monk.
You could be a warrior monk. Why not?
I have been to war multiple times. I've seen the worst. I have been on the front lines as a SWAT officer and a police officer and a sniper, and I've done it all. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you can't be a warrior and portray strength, but at the same time have humanity and understand what humanity is. You know, there's a time and a place. So yeah, that's kind of how I got into the sport, and why after 40 years, I'm still involved and want to stay involved and keep giving back to our athletes and keep giving back to the people that are involved in the sport. People like yourself who are getting ready to promote your first event that I can't wait to be part of. Which is
so
awesome.
Excited.
So now it's my turn to interview you. So tell me about your first event. When is it going to be and where?
Well, this is my first event with the OCB. Like I said, I have lots of friends in other places. So this is very exciting for me because I love that they stand behind and they stand for doing it naturally. Because on the flip side of it, I know a lot of people have hurt themselves trying to be the best of the best. And it's so cool when you can see like someone working out or staying fit or competing with their son or with their daughter. like they're making this a family event. This is so cool. So it's not like, just them. It's, you can tell this is like something they've ingrained in their kids. So now that child who's going to be in, let's say, the teen division, we get to see him when he's an 80-year-old person, still healthy, still. So that makes me like, yes, this is a cool thing to be doing. Because when I first started, people were like, you must be on this, this, and the other. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not. But it was really, it was crazy. But I love that the OCB, promotes and instills and like kind of drills home, you can do this in a healthy way, and you can do it for a lifetime and make your life even better. So Lorraine and I are just like pinching ourselves every day when we have the show's not until October. It's October 22nd. It's the OCB Stone Classic in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. When we talked to you and you were like, sure, I'll be there. We're like, what? And then we got our first sponsor and we were like, what? And then we got our first competitor. And we're like, what? So yeah, we do like the happy dance. I literally have a video of Lorraine doing the happy dance. I don't know if she'll let me use it. But
that's awesome.
From the regular job to, doing this, it's definitely gives you like that, like, I don't know. It's just that feeling where you're like, yes. And I've been like from tanning to, oh my gosh, expediting, emceeing, you name it, dragging people out of the bathroom, whatever's needed to get the job done. I've been in and around it, and clearly I must love it because I keep doing it. So yeah, you just have to be like Yvonne, and I'm like, yes, let's go. It doesn't matter where, when, how, like, let's do it. So I had the opportunity to co-promote with Lorraine, and that's Lorraine DePass, by the way. And she's an amazing person. I don't know if you've ever seen her sing a cappella.
Oh.
When she, I'm telling tales.
Boy.
I went to one of her competitions, and I forgot the name of the head judge there, but she said she's been doing this like 20 years, and she told her, she's like, I've never seen someone do that. So, it's kind of odd in this sport for something new to be taking place. And it was so funny because you could tell the audience wasn't sure. They were like, is she singing? Or is that a record? What's going on? You could tell, and then like they figured out, oh God, she really is singing like live a cappella. And they were like, oh my God, like they started clapping even harder. So you could tell they were like, what's going on? What's happening? She's singing.
That's awesome. Now I know. I can't wait. I cannot wait to pull that out of my head at my next show. If she's there, I might have to turn around and go, and singing the national anthem.
Right?
And the mic and put her on the spot, right?
She will kill me, but I love it. But I love it. Yes. Let's see. So we talked about military, OCB, your life, your shows that are coming up. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about this evening?
Oh boy, I mean, I could talk about my kids, my wife, my my grandchild.
Oh really?
All that. Oh, I'm a grandpa. Yeah, I'm a grandpa. Now my oldest daughter lives in Oklahoma, and I'm on the East Coast, so I'll be flying out again to see my grandson again soon. He is a terror.
That's his
and he just there's nothing he can't climb. There's nothing he can't do. I would say that the first almost 3 years have been wonderful, and I know that my daughter is going to be having a fun more 16 years. So, but yeah, I try to have time, as much time as I can spend at home, with my family. I've got two stepsons. So I think that family can be very important. I also know how challenging parenthood can be.
Right.
But at the same time, seeing who they develop into as people, I think that's really rewarding. My youngest daughter is just awesome. Just a thoughtful, kind-hearted, wonderful person. My oldest daughter is just brilliant and probably very much like me. Very much like me. As a matter of fact,
Brilliant.
if she was in the military, she'd probably be a general by now.
All right now.
Yeah. So they're great. And my wife is the secret behind the success. She's behind me at everything I do. So I always like to acknowledge them and thank them. They're awesome. But we keep bodybuilding in the family. What people don't realize is that my former spouse Deb, she promotes the spirit of America in Massachusetts on Cape Cod, and that her and Kayla, my daughter, promote that. So people don't realize that you don't have to be a competitor. You don't have to ever have been involved in the sport to promote and put together and hold and have a really fantastic event, like the Spirit of America. I mean, it's actually the longest running show in the OCB, continuous. Wow. Yes, it's the longest continuous. We started the Spirit of America the second year that the OCB was founded. That was because the first year Matt did it, he just promoted 3 shows on his own and called it OCB. And then the following year, I'm like, hey, Matt, let's make it a federation. I'll jump in. And a guy by the name of Roger in Pittsburgh jumped in. And the Spirit of America has never missed a year since then. And other shows have come, like the Presidential Cup, they've missed a few years. The Jordan Cup started late. So all these shows that have a following and the Spirit of America is is the longest continuously year by year running show. So if anybody's looking to compete in May around the Massachusetts area, there's the Spirit of America. So yeah.
That's awesome. So speaking of the book that I'm going to make you write.
Okay.
I think you have like at least 5. I say every person has one. I think you
have my wife.
Yeah, I think you have about 5 or so. I love that you know the history of this sport and can just run off and talk about it like it's, it just happened a couple of weeks ago. I also think by you doing the podcast, it'll give some people more insight to like how it all came to be, how things developed, how things have progressed. It's always good to know like why things are the way they are now, kind of thing. So when's that book coming out? No pressure. I know you're busy.
It's funny because I've had multiple people turn around and say the same thing. And people who know me from my police career, who have no idea that I'm involved in bodybuilding and barely know I'm in the military, say you should write a book about your experiences there. My military people who don't know about that. So it's like all these worlds, how they converge together. It would be interesting. I've really had, I consider myself a poor man's Forrest Gump.
Okay.
And anybody who's ever seen the movie Forrest Gump,
yes,
he just ends up in all these wonderful situations more by accident than anything else. Okay. And that's kind of how my life has been. I know internally there's been a lot of drive. There's always been a desire for growth. There's always been that connection. So I'm a little more connected to my situations and things that have happened as Forrest Gump, but I just look at just like even some of the sub stories. We were talking the other day, and we're talking about music stars and who you like, and Rod Stewart came up, and I'm showing people pictures of when I met Rod Stewart when he was on a vacation in Thailand in 1984, and how we hung out, and we were like chatting. People are like, you just say that so casually. I'm like, yeah, I was just ran into Rod Stewart, ran into this, and that's where people have always said that would make your book so much fun, because you've had all those chance encounters with all these people and all these variety of disciplines and different things they've done. as well as, your story, your path of how you went from, there to here.
Yes.
People seem to find it interesting. So maybe someday. I think it'd be
Okay.
the most boring story in the world because it's my life. I
No.
don't think I'm,
No.
I don't think I'm all that. But
I love how humble you
it's,
are, sir, but I think
if it
there's,
entertains
like I
people,
said,
maybe.
at least 5 books in there at a
I'm
minimum.
just, well, I already have a title. I'm just a guy. It's a story just about just being a guy.
I'm just a
It
guy.
and the potential that we all have. I mean, that's the one reason why I think I would ever even endeavor to write about that,
Right.
because there's so much out there about rock stars and about movie stars and about sports stars, about superstars and about all these other stars. And one of my 10 philosophies that I always tell my soldiers and airmen and stuff when I talk to them is that if you're going to be a star, be a North Star. It's not the brightest star. It's not the most popular star. It's not the most famous star, but it's a guiding star. So if you're going to be a star,
Ah,
be a North Star.
got it.
And, and be grounded and be humble and know yourself and guide and help others. And that's what we need more of. We need, of all the celestial bodies, we need a few more North Stars
Okay.
and a few less rock stars and sports stars and movie stars, reality stars, and
I understand what you're
uh,
saying.
so
Yes, I
you know,
love like motivational things, and I listen to a lot of different folks. One of my favorites is Lisa Nichols, and she has, I'm probably gonna butcher the way she says it, but she says, "You want to make me extraordinary to let yourself off the hook," meaning that she's just like you and I, but everybody goes, "Oh my gosh, you're like this person who's done this and that and this and the other." She said, she gets out of bed 1 foot at a time. She goes through bumps, highs and lows like everyone else, but that's what people want to do. They want to make someone, so extraordinary to it's like it's untouchable. And I feel like, like just like now, I mean, Lorraine and I were like, "Do you think Sully can talk to us?" And you were like, "Yes." Talking about those little moments that make people be like, "Hey, like I'm having a good day." Now that might have, as you would say, that might not have been much to you, or this interview even might not be much to you, but to me, it's made my month, man. Like we haven't even got to a show, and I'm okay. I'm okay. So I
I
appreciate you.
appreciate you. I appreciate you very much, and I appreciate what you're doing. And also, I wouldn't have been on if it wasn't that I understand the tone and tenor of your show, and I understand what you really wanted to get after, and that's the important stuff. People are sometimes afraid to reveal their humanity. They want to hide behind their label. They want to hide behind themselves as the sports star or as the pretty model or as the handsome actor or whatever it is they do. And they don't want people to see, beyond the mask. I think that's why I identify with Batman so much because, behind the mask, there's such a complex character there that's going through so much and has overcome so much. And everyone's Batman. Everyone is Batman. Every single person out there is a superhero of some type and is a Batman, or Batgirl, whatever. They're, you know, everybody has that. That's the reality of it. And if we all realize that we're all human and we all do things the same way, it's just some people have different opportunities. Some people call it blind luck. Some people are born lucky. Some people are born rich. Some people are not. Some people make themselves rich. I feel like I am one of the richest people in the world, but I'm rich in the way that I want to be rich. I know I know that had I wanted to be a multi-billionaire, I would have been one by now. I have no doubt about it. If I wanted to be a politician, I would be a senator right now. But I've become all the things that I've really truly desired in my heart to be and to become because those are the things I feel that made me rich. And wealth to me isn't something that is in currency. Wealth is something that you develop within your character, being able to look yourself in the eye and be proud of what you've done, uh, and acknowledging your own defeats and learning from them and improving from them as a bodybuilder or as a person as a police officer, a teacher, or doctor, whatever you are. You don't learn from your successes, you learn from your defeats and overcoming them. And that's where you develop. And that's where everybody becomes Batman and develops their own superhero-ness. Batman started off as a victim, and then he became Gotham City's greatest crime fighter.
That's true.
People always talk, it's another one of my 10 monikers. You have three choices in adversity. You can either be the victim, or you can be the survivor, or you can be the warrior. And what's the difference between the survivor or the warrior? The survivor survives the experience. The warrior embraces the experience for the good and the bad, and attacks it with the mindset and the ferocity of a warrior, no matter what it is. They attack it and they beat it, and they become better. So I think that people who call themselves survivors are not survivors, they're warriors. I think, survivors, you don't hear from survivors. I think you hear from the warriors. So I think people need to realize that they have that inner strength, and that they are warriors, and that they've truly overcome something, no matter what it is: domestic violence, illness, substance abuse, or just people who weren't happy with who they were. It doesn't have to be extreme. If you're unhappy with who you are, then be a better person. You can. Yes. People can change. I believe that people can change. I have. Yes. I can attest to it. People can change.
Yes, I believe they can too. I'm so glad that you took the time to do this with us today.
Thank you.
We're going to definitely add all of your show information on there, your podcast information on there. I'm going to leave that line for the book that's coming soon. We'll start off with the first one, Just a Guy. And I'm looking forward to seeing you throughout the year. And I can't thank you enough for doing this.
It was my pleasure, and thank you very much for having me on. And thank you. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. We have Reggie literally in the flesh on Bodylynx.com. He said, okay, what are we doing? I said, we're talking about you, because there's so much to do. How long have I known you? Let's start with that.
At least almost 13, 14 years now.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. And literally, time has flown while we're having fun.
Yeah.
So let me take a couple steps back. I met you because you're always DJing the bodybuilding shows. How did you get into doing that?
I got into it with my first show with Paul and Pete.
Awesome. Paul Hendricks, Pete Diaz. Yes.
It was my first aficionado show, and to this day I appreciate it. Those guys showed me much love. But yes, that was the first show I did, and I was with Paul and Pete.
Okay. And so how did you learn to do the things for timing, background music, when people's music mess up?
Yeah. So right now, it's just going off the hip. Like you just focus on, making it right. You're gonna mess up. Everybody messes up. We're not perfect. We're not 100% robots. So it's like, live shows, anything can happen. So, and it does. Anything, and it does happen. So, but we get over it, we get it done, we get the job done. And basically, like, if somebody's music mess up, plan B, we go to house music, or, we go into a mic session or something like that. But we make it happen to where it's, more try to be flawless and continue the show.
Yes. So it's so funny because most of the time, I don't think the audience even knew something happened.
Right.
But you and I are like, or at least, okay, I'm going, and you're like, I got this. You're like totally calm about it. Like, it's all right. I got him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So for those who don't know what we're talking about, music in your show can make or break it. Okay. So when there's lulls or if the flow of the show isn't going smoothly, having someone like Reggie there makes all the world of difference. Okay. Because he will just make it seem like this is the way the normal flow is supposed to go. And the audience is just sitting there happy as can be. They have no idea that we just switched 3 people, had to pull someone out of a bathroom or whatever it was we had to do to keep the show flowing. Yeah.
So, and you know, he's still learning to this day as it goes on, but it's just been a great, you know, atmosphere, having good, like you and Doc and everybody else working, you know, to work with actually, and it's been a blessing with me. Like, it's y'all so great, and you just make my job. Make my job.
Oh, so yes, so okay. I want you to know that we appreciate you, but how did Lorraine get you to say yes to come with us to South Carolina? Reggie's from New Jersey, people. He's like, yeah, I got you, no problem.
Yeah. I mean, it was like, okay, she said Myrtle Beach, though. She got me on the Myrtle Beach. So,
but it's Myrtle Beach in October, man.
It don't matter. I love the beach. So, but it was like, okay, Doc, anything, you know, for you guys, you know, like I said, we've been working together more than almost 15 years, 13, 14, 15, yeah, about 15 years. But, you know, it grew to where it's like anything, you know, you guys ask, you know, it's just, you know, just have to ask one time. I just had one request. I just need a t-shirt, as Doc said.
People don't know the list that woman will go through for a t-shirt.
Yeah.
That makes her day. She's like, a t-shirt. Aww. Yeah. So,
and,
yes?
Go ahead, I'm listening.
No, you go.
No, I was just going to elaborate, you know, about other, you know, people ask me, you know, do you have this music, the genre of music that we play? And, you know, it's like we love all types of music. And it's like when you play something and you see the guys or the girls and the little kids out there moving their hips, shaking them, you know, moving around and bobbing their head and jumping up and down, because they're, you know, they're hard to stay still, especially the kids out there. And even the grown-ups want to move around sometimes. So it's a pleasure even to see the judges, you know, getting, you know, grooving, and, you know, it's most of our shows on Saturdays, Sundays, and, you know, people, and they want to, you know, enjoy themselves. They don't want to be, you know, just cooped up, sitting down and around. But I'll try to make the best of it.
I've had the pleasure of emceeing shows that you, same with Paul and Pete. And I know from like the back end, you know, that you work magic. And people don't even know that something happened. So that's just amazing to me. That's number one. So we have to, you know, be able to put a banner there and talk about your services. What's the name of your DJing side of you, sir?
My DJing side is called, my DJ name rather is DJ Trez, Trez. I received that from the being the treasurer of the motorcycle club. So that's the way I came up. Well, they gave me my name and it just stuck with me. I tried to change it and everything else, but it was like, no, that's it.
That's who you will be from now on. That is your name. That's your tag. Live with it. So besides bodybuilding shows, what else do you DJ?
I just had a wedding to come in today, as a matter of fact. Wedding came in for July, and I do various things. I do kids parties. I did kids party on a Saturday. A 1-year-old. It was twins, a 1-year-old party, and
that's different. Yeah.
It was so nice. And, you know, whatever events, banquets, we do 5K runs for the city, and, you know, numerous of things, you know, audios, you know, that they need, like mics or just background music, anything that's available, you know, we have fully insured and everything else. So anything that we can do, you know, we'll do. And, you know, have it make people enjoy themselves.
Well, all I know is that we were like, okay, we'll fly you down. And Reg was like, oh, no, I have my stuff. I'm driving. We're like, wait, what?
Yes.
What? Yes. I'm sorry, what? You have to understand, this man has an entire setup. He doesn't play. He has it all set up. He's like, I got this. You'd be like, okay, he's like full service. Totally.
Yes. And it's been a blessing, you know, and like I said, I would love to fly, but, you know, you got to have certain things. You never know. I don't want to, you know, get down there and then, you know, we have to, you know, go to a local, you know, audio store, get something. So it'd be better for you guys and me that we have everything. If you need something, it's in the trailer. I have, you know, it's trailer down and, you know, we hook it up and everything runs smoothly, hopefully, knock on wood.
Yes.
You know, we go from there.
Wow. Okay, so when you're not DJing, what's your other business, Reg?
I have my own appliance repair business, and I've been doing that for 6 years now. And started out, retired from Coca-Cola, did 20 years, and then
Congrats on that.
I decided to do my own business. So now I have my own business. I have my niece answering the phone for me, my CRM, and
Nice.
yes, and we're still cranking. And you know, busy days. It's our busy season. Just about every season our busy season, but it seems like even in the summer with the refrigerators and everything else breaking down. So yeah, I have my own appliance repair business.
And what's the name of that, sir? So we can definitely put out a little banner for that.
My appliance repair business is RT Team LLC, appliance repair, and you can find me at rtteamllc@gmail.com, and or you can call me 732-705-7062.
Awesome. And so you said refrigerators. What else do you service?
We do refrigerators, dryers, washing machines, stoves. We also do garage door opening, blenders, and you know, whatever's in the kitchen, just about, you know, we touch. So
And how did you come about that trade? Have you always done that?
I've always been, you know, good with my hands, obviously with DJing and I've always been good with my hands, you know, mechanic work. You know, I used to do mechanic work at Coca-Cola too. And yeah, and I was like, okay, so what do I can get into where it's enjoyable work? You know, you going in, you know, kind of, you know, during the summertime, wintertime, whatever people houses, and it's usually fairly warm, and you know, and people greet you nice, and you know, they want their stuff fixed, and you know, and it's like that I can work year round and earn a lot of money. So between that and doing my DJing, I also have candles I sell, and I also
What candles? Wait, don't just gloss over stuff. Let's take a minute. What candles? And how come I don't know about the candles?
You ever? We usually have a booth out in front. Pete and goes. We have a booth.
I didn't know that was yours though. I thought that was theirs.
Yeah. Okay. No. So that's us. So most likely I'll have a booth out in front selling candles. A variety of things we're going to be selling out there, but mainly it's candles and you know, maybe some shirts or you know, some
kind of candles.
We have different scents of candles. So
okay.
They're 8 ounce candles, and the different scents, pineapple scent.
Hello.
And we have.
And what's the name of that business?
And that business is 34 candles.
There you go.
So
Look
34
at you.
candles is my son's number that they retired, his jersey number. So
that's beautiful.
34 candles. So it's a blessing. Yes, that's another one.
Wow. How did I not know that? That's amazing.
Yes.
You're talking about your son that passed, right?
Yes, my son that passed away, my oldest son.
So that's a beautiful name for the company. I get it.
Yeah. So we always tell him we keep him lit all the way, and that's what's on the. When you see the candle jar, that's what's on the jar and the label. 34 candles, keep it lit. So
wow, I like it. I like it a lot. That's so amazing. Look at you.
Yeah, so it's definitely been a enjoyable ride. Like I said, the shows that we're doing is, you know, just giving me more and more experience to just, you know, write a book or something. You know, this is a story. This is a
I'm
life.
sure you got a couple books in there.
But it's just been a blessing, like to travel with you guys, to see so many people, places, things. You know, we go up to Boston, we go all the way to Virginia, and you know, like now Myrtle Beach, and you know, maybe Florida. You know, it's definitely been, you know, it is a nice thing, and just to see the people, the competitors, you know, get stronger and stronger.
Yes.
And that makes me get stronger and stronger every time I see someone. That was you last year. Yeah. They telling me I look great. I'm telling them they look great. They look even better. But it's like,
I'm not going to let the "you look great" part pass by, because yes, you do, sir. You look like your younger brother. What have you been doing, Mr. H? I know that you've been biking, but what else have you been doing?
Basically biking and gymming and just eating right, trying to eat cleaner. And you know, it's that has really, on all sides of my life, you know, been a blessing, because now it's like I'm stronger, and it's like I don't just go and just eat pizza, you know, even though I do have it. I don't, you're like, okay, give me pizza with the pepperoni, olive, cheese, all the other stuff, you know, and give me like a pizza with, you know, fresh garlic and broccoli and something like that, and tear off half of the dough. And you know, and it's like, okay, now we eating wiser, working out more, definitely working out. You know, it's bike riding, you know, like I would never thought I would spend like $6,000 on a bike, but it happened, and I'm glad it happened.
Listen, people, I've gone bike riding with Reg. Let me tell you my story. Reg says, hey, meet me at the park. We're going to go for a bike ride. So I'm thinking, hey, a nice little saunter, you know, a mile or 2 or 3. And, you know, we come on back. I think the first day I went out with him, it was like 15 miles.
Yes.
Like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
I was crazy enough to keep up, like keep doing it. Yes. So be careful when he says bike ride.
Yeah.
Like crazy. And then we got up to 20, and then he was like, we can do 30 miles. And hey, you know, they have a path that goes all the way down to Princeton. Mind you, we live in like Union County area. So to go down to Princeton is a bit of a hike on a bike, Reggie.
Yeah. And I know, like, cause when I do it, I look back sometimes at it like, wow, I rode from here to like Trenton, just about, like, I rode from here to Pennsylvania. You know, it's like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, but it's well worth it. You know, I got my guys, you know, that I ride with on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you know, with Major Taylor riders, and they're well known worldwide. And
oh wow,
you know, they push us, and he is like, okay, there's no reason you can't lead the pack now. Okay, now you can lead. Now you can do other things. But it's definitely been a blast. It's definitely a blast.
All right.
We make it happen.
And you ride motorcycles.
Yes, and I ride motorcycles. Like I said, that's what DJ name from right. You know, motorcycles. So it's like,
I just want people to know you had both. You got the bike riding, bicycle, and then you have
the motorcycle.
Motorcycle, yes. Oh my gosh.
So I love the 2 wheels. So it's like I haven't been riding the motorcycle as much. I've been riding the pedal bike, but the pedal bike, you know, I just, something about it. Like after I got to the point of getting over the soreness, getting over, you know, the legs being sore. My legs are sore now because I did legs yesterday in gym, but gotcha. it was definitely like one of those things where you have to get used to it. You have to. With pedal bike, it's painful, as the guy said. It's painful, but the reward is much more glorified. You know, I told him when I do a big bike ride, I gain 2 more years of my life. I can live longer. 2 more years that I can live longer. And
like that motto. Okay,
but
that lessens the pain.
Yeah, that lessens the pain, the thought of the pain. It helps me push through. I'm climbing the hills and everything else. But
wow.
definitely nice.
Well, I love the journey. I love the transformation that you've done within yourself, man. Are you ever going to compete now? Have you thought about it?
I thought about it, of course. I thought about it, much as I see it, but I have to go through a lot more before I do that. And, with God willing, I can do it one day. Like I said, put that piece of about 3 or 4 pages in my book on how I did the road, how I traveled that road of getting up on the stage and, making it happen. And it's like, man, I see the guys like you're older than me. You're 60, how old? And you look like that. And it's like, I can do it. I know. But that's one thing, like I said about the DJing, being around the competitors, being around, people like you, people like Doc, and, just people like positive pushing, good health, good, eat right, live longer, enjoy. And, I wouldn't have seen all this stuff like when we go to even Pennsylvania, it was just beautiful landscaping, beautiful. Yes. And, in the hotel and the people and, and it's like a one big family, even though we do change, I do DJ other, people as far as bodybuilding shows,
right.
But I still carry that same respect, as, okay, we're here to do a job and to the best of our abilities, and we're going to mess up, but we're going to get through it, and we're going to look back, and then we're going to get through whatever else is next. So,
and let me explain because you said that twice now, or at least a couple times. When he says mess up, it's not really a mess up. So Reggie literally like collects music as people are going on stage, and we have competitors who will have like 18 songs on a disc, and they'll be like, hey, it's song number 3, and they give it to him and he sets it up, and then the music starts and it's really not song number 3, and they have to like either come off stage or play with the music that was on there or start again. So when little things like that happens, he just stays cool and calm, and he's like, okay, I got you. He's like, come on, back off. And then, we find out it was song number 11, but okay.
Right. And like I said, even with the song, the competitors, the song might not even read, it might be a blank thumb drive or something, and it's reading, and he's gone already on the stage. He took off. I'm like, now what you do is, it's plan B, or, even, like I said, one time, what was that, Yvonne? I think his phone, it was in Kenilworth, he gave me his phone or something, and his phone wasn't reading or it wasn't playing through. And so what I did was, let you tell it, Mom. Go ahead.
No, I think you connected something else to it. You got it to work, but it was just, you MacGyvered it. That's the best word I'm going to give it. What
happened is, so his phone wasn't working. I mean, his phone was working. It wasn't just playing. It wasn't connecting to the bottom. So what I did, Yvonne was emceeing that day, and she was like, okay, she noticed, she was like, all right, what do we do? It's not playing. He's out there. I was like, Yvonne, give me your mic. So what I did, I took her mic and just put it to his phone and played it. And it sounded through, the jack of his phone. So, but we got through it. That's what I mean by, we got to improvise, and we made it happen. And it was a good show. And, and nobody never knew what happened but me and Vaughn. Well, Vaughn told everybody it happened.
No, but the competitor knew, and he was so thankful. Because they train so hard, and most of them train to like a specific song to it, and they have a specific routine. So then when you tell them like it's not gonna work, they freak out. So we want him to be calm. So for me, I'm usually like, my face is the giveaway. I'm not like, my face tells all. So if nothing else, my eyes will get big. It's like, this is not going well. But I'll try to like keep that, mellow face. Meanwhile, things are blowing up backstage.
Yeah. And like I said, it's definitely, things happen on a whim, and we make the best of it,
Yes, you do. Yes. Well, I applaud you, sir. Lorraine and I, both of you, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for coming and taking this journey with us, literally. We're so excited to be promoting the show. the feedback, like you said, and the people and the organization, everybody has just been warm and welcoming. And we're just super stoked to be doing it, and so glad that you're going to be with us.
Yes, I'm glad that you guys picked me. I'm glad that Doc, well, I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. I call it Doc. So, Lorraine, Lorraine, and I'm glad that she picked me. I'm glad that your guys picked me. And once Doc, like I said, she texted me. She was like, "Reggie, you want to do it?" I was like, like I said, free T-shirt. But we made it happen. It was nice. It was nice.
So
I appreciate it.
All right, sir. Is there anything you'd like to say? Is there anything from you doing your journey, your own personal journey so far in your fitness? I know you're like, I'm not really doing anything, but is there anything that you've like learned about yourself that you're like, hey, look at this?
Yeah, I learned that the body is an amazing thing. I knew that, but I learned every day that my body, learning it, I can push it, and I have to, as far as how I want it to react and how I want to live, that's how, you have to do it. And you can't just, treat every day and every day of your body and every day on this earth is just like, it's just another day, because, nobody knows their time and nobody knows the place that, certain things gonna happen. So I'm learning like just to treat my body the best I can, and to treat, okay, just to do it, get it over with, even though it's painful, it's climbing that hill and turning those wheels, pushing that pedal, and it's like you get to do it more and more. I'm like, why do we need to do more? Like, we good already, but it's like when you push it and you see the results, the end results, you see all the gray is not coming in like it used to, and
I like the gray. It's very handsome.
I like the salt and pepper, but it's like you can slow down a little bit. I don't need, but it's nice though. It's nice, and I remember every time I push something or I say I'm gonna take the day off, Doc told me, if you don't use it, you lose it. So Doc goes, every time I think of that, I was like, I gotta use it. I gotta get in the gym and do my arms, and get in the gym, do my abs and back, shoulders, and everything that I can. Like I said, but not everything in one day. Everything is in moderation, and like I said, it's just been a blast with the with just the whole body. I never thought that I would be doing this just as a when I started DJing just for a hobby.
Right.
And I'm up and down the East Coast, and people, meeting great people and experiencing things, and I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Most definitely. I'm
Thank
so
you.
glad that we got to do this, because I wanted to do it for the longest time. And hey, no better time than the present. I'm so glad that you could carve out some time with all your busy things going on to do this. Of course, we're going to talk again soon, but I wanted to definitely get your name out there and let people know who our DJ is, who our friend is, who our guy is. And that's, I just know you as Reg, but they can look you up clearly from candles to appliances.
Yeah.
They want to go for a bike ride. They need a DJ, and be careful with the black ride. I'm telling you now, it's not gonna be 2 miles, people. It's not gonna be 2 miles. At a minimum. At a minimum, it's like 15.
I always say we have 5 in, but really we have 6 in. I said, well, we can do 2 more miles. We end up doing 5 more miles. But it's like,
you can't count either, people. You can't count.
I gotta take off count, so I can't count.
But it's all good.
Yes.
I thank you again, Reggie, for doing this.
Thank you.
And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. All right, everybody stay well. Be blessed. Yeah.